When you were in pre-production for Biba, were you surprised at how fervent the voters of the tiny island republic were in the grand scheme of an American electorate?
Yeah, I mean, I was incredibly surprised and impressed, honestly. I mean, there was an 80% turnout on the election we had, and that was a low turnout for this country. So for us, that would be amazing, historic. So it was really impressive, and it's because it's such a direct result. These people they know the stakes of these elections, and they go at it with all their heart.
What one lesson could you tell people of the continental U.S. that you learned from those citizens?
Well, I think the big thing I've learned is to know what to expect out of your democracy. Like when people talk about, oh, our democracy's broken because we can't get X, Y, and Z, or because the guy I don't like got elected. It's like, well, that's not really what it's designed to do. Like, we're all very fortunate we don't have a King Bush or a King Obama. That's all it's designed to do. It's not designed to get you what you want today. Over time, it works out. So it's to have a realistic look and take a step back and think about some of these really big topics. Yeah.
The film was done on a midterm election, so it wasn't a presidential election like we've got coming up in 2012. Is there a sadistic part of you, or a masochistic part, I would say, that would want to go back and cover what the general election in 2012 would be like on the island?
Well, the island they don't vote for the president. They actually do vote in the primaries, and in a little side note, Mitt Romney sent his son and daughter-in-law, I believe, just recently. It's the first presidential visit ever, though it wasn't a presidential visit. But the big election there is when the governor is elected, and that apparently is just off the hook. And that's what everybody kept telling me. I was like, oh, why are you here? This is just a midterm. But for me, I didn't want to see the craziness and all that. I think this was the perfect election for me because it was simple. It told the story well, and yeah, I am tempted to go back. I would like to. It's a lot.
Just a touch of masochistic.
Yeah, very masochistic. Yeah, it's a long trip. It's a long trip.
Congratulations on the film, and thank you for bringing it to Dallas. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I've had a great time so far.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
Pleased to see you again. We spoke a couple of years ago when you brought the short Gaby to the festival. What lessons did you learn that you were able to bring to the feature-length version of the film?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know if I learned any lessons on the short. What I really learned was that I learned what the audience liked about the short. I saw it in so many places. Here it was one of the earlier places it played, but it went on to play almost over 100 festivals on like 6 continents, and I saw it in many different places. And I guess what I learned was that the story was universal, even though people might not think so from the title. And I learned which parts were the parts that worked and didn't, like, comedically, and that definitely helped in writing the rest of the story for sure.
When you were adapting the film, did you decide, okay, I've got to include this beat because I wasn't able to get it in the first time around, or there's this subplot that I really think we could have examined more for?
There's definitely like a line. There was a joke that I always thought was incredibly funny, which we were not going to talk about because it's not family friendly, but it never. It always got like 2 guffaws because only like certain people, and I did make that line much more on the nose in the feature version, and now it gets this huge laugh. So I did like learn little things like that. But also, I guess, no, there was so much magic in the short. I just tried to create, other things that also would go along with it, I guess. A lot of the short is actually in the feature. It's very similar.
A lot of short filmmakers have the dream to be able to get their short, give it the love that it deserves, give it the time that it deserves. But now the question is there a Gaby 2? Is there a Gaby Twins? Or what do you have coming up next?
Somebody asked me that last night. I was like, that is not quite what I'm ready for next. I mean, I
want the Gaby franchise to go on?
I don't want. I don't mind having a franchise, but I mean, 7-Eleven has done good here. But there is another story I want to tell, and I feel like, and I had written that script before I did the feature of Gaby, thinking it would be next, but the feature of Gaby kind of called out to me, and I just think you kind of like have to do whatever is calling to you in a way. I know that sounds hippy-dippy, but there's something else I want to tell first. I am definitely going to work with Jen and Matt again, no matter what it is on, if it's on this, or my 2 lead actors. You've
got your crew, regardless.
You got a great group of actors that I kind of want to keep working with as long as I can.
Well, Chris Guest has his, and James Cameron has his. Now you have yours.
I mean, it's true, and especially who you just mentioned. He's not James Cameron. Christopher Guest. He's so funny, and those people are so funny, and they're so much a part of all of his projects. And my actors are they're comedians like that who are kind of. You want to use them because what they bring to the role is so important.
And you have that language where it's like almost a shorthand at this point.
Yeah, we didn't really have to like do a lot of delving into character for this with at least the people I know already. They kind of already knew exactly what I would want.
Well, again, thank you for bringing it out, and congratulations. Welcome back to Dallas, man.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate it, man. And we're here with the cast of Raspberry Jam, Courtney Ware's entry at the Dallas International Film Festival. Guys, what was it like working with Courtney as a director?
She was so amazing. She could like do whatever she wants. Amazing. And she is like phenomenal. She's so beautiful. I totally
Academy Award has nothing on top of it.
She's beautiful. Perfection.
And what challenges did you have while you were making the shorts?
Not much. I mean, working with Courtney, there was nothing wrong. It was fun. And had a lot of fun.
Nothing negative to say at all.
This is very awkward.
Good things to say about it.
Courtney, what do you have to say about your cast?
They're great. I wish I had 8 voices to be able to talk about how great they are. But yeah, I'm just super lucky and blessed that these guys were able to come together and be in our cast. So we have kind of a star-studded cast. I mean, look at them. They're great.
They're phenomenal, and they take direction extremely well. I can already tell.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome to the festival. Thank you so much. Okay, we're here with Sheldon Cannon and Jason from Love. Shorts filmmaker, documentary filmmaker. Talk about making the transition from shorts to your first full-length feature.
Oh, wow. It's a very intense process. But I think at the end of the day, you're constantly training that muscle, and you're constantly making short things and experimenting with things and learning. So then when you do get the opportunity, the fortunate opportunity to make a feature film, you've played in a sandbox in a sense. Yeah. So.
Talk a little bit about your 2 leads, because you've got Common, who turns in my opinion, one of the best performances of his career, if not the best, and a young man who's 10 or 11 years old who is holding his own every single frame of the film. Talk about your 2 leads.
We're really, really fortunate to have, Common and Michael Rainey Jr. I can't say enough about Michael Rainey Jr. I can't say enough about Michael Rainey Jr. I mean, the kid he's a phenomenal talent. And I'm just super, super excited for us, the creators of the film, to actually be a part of another great child performance in cinema. Michael was just this little wonder kid. He's like this little alien. And, the very first film he ever did, he was 9 years old, and he acted and emoted in Italian. And Love is his second movie. So we're really fortunate. And, I'm super, super excited and proud of Common. I mean, I feel this is a breakthrough performance. And, I mean, he's clicking on all cylinders. And to watch him in this movie really, truly breaks your heart, Jason,
talk a little bit about working with Sheldon. How long were you guys in development on the picture? And once you got Common signed, how easy or did it make your job?
Well, I've been working with Sheldon for 7 years on the movie, since 2005, 2006. So it was definitely, a long journey, a labor of love for the both of us. It was an incredible process. I mean, Sheldon definitely, drove and pushed myself and the other producers to be the best that we could be at our jobs, which was amazing. And this movie has had a lot of uphill battles in getting it made, but with a great team and with Sheldon and his passion behind it, it pushed it over the top. And then getting the process of getting the role of Vincent cast into the movie was a big process. I mean, when we had first started the film together 7 years ago, and I started getting involved, I mean, we were in much different places in our careers. So as we kind of both grew up in the business together, and Sheldon working on more commercials and short films and music videos, and me starting my producing career, we were able to get the script, acknowledged by agents who had otherwise not had looked at it. And Sheldon knows this, the movie always had incredible, coverage, and people always loved the script, but it took us to be able to get to a certain place, to people to be like, yeah, we're going to pay attention to these filmmakers. We think they can get it made. And once we were able to get, we originally got Charles Dutton attached to the movie, and then once Common came on board, it was the locomotive kind of went full steam. It had already kind of been full steam, but then it went really full steam. And we were able to lock all the financing into place and go into production actually this time last year in Baltimore. We were in pre-production at this time last year.
Yeah, a year ago this month. Yeah.
If you were in such different places in your career, let's say alternate reality, Jason couldn't have been your producer because he was doing something else, would you have continued with Love? Jason says yes.
Well, Jason says yes, but here's the thing. That's my own perseverance of a story that's very, very close to me, that comes from a relationship that I actually had with one of my uncles when I was a kid growing up, and it's a fictional tale that I created from that with my writing partner, Justin Wilson. But to be completely honest with you, and I don't say this to sound cliche, there is no love without Jason Berman. You know, Jason was really, really passionate and really, really pushed the film through. I mean, we went through very, very tough times of the movie being together and it's about to happen, the movie falling apart. And so Jason's testament of how much he loved the script and how much he believed in the film, he just never gave up, you know, and I owe him invaluably for the start of my career, so, yeah.
For a feature film, it's a fantastic debut. Congratulations, and thank you guys so much for bringing it to Dallas. We appreciate it.
Thank you
so much.
Not only putting a movie together, which is a daunting enough project, especially with an amazing amount of material as you had from Ms. Vreeland, but you also were doing a book project as well as a multimedia project. How long have you been working on The Eye Has to Travel?
Well, I've been working for 3 years, and as you know, it started as a book, but then it all fell into place because we were really researching all the same thing. We were just trying to really uncover her whole life and her life story.
Was there at any point in the procedure where you were looking at it going, I can't get past this one hurdle? Was there one thing where you're looking at it going, I don't know if I can continue with this project?
I think, you know, actually there was not that moment. It was maybe financial holdbacks at certain points, and then licensing all of the material. We have over 1,000 cues in the film, and that's when it was very difficult.
Have you had a chance to sit back, relax, and just watch an audience take the film in and just enjoy it? And then, if so, what kind of reaction did you have off of their reaction?
I actually love watching the audience see the film, and it's been nice because I've seen it in a lot of different countries and different festivals, and sometimes it's a very young crowd or an older crowd, and everybody's different, but they enjoy it so much, and I really like that because they're all discovering Mrs. Vreeland with us. Did
you find it was difficult to encapsulate Deanna's legacy into a feature film? Because even with a full-length documentary, you still have to leave so much on the editing floor. Was there one bit that you're sitting here going, I can't wait to put the DVD out because then this will be in it?
Well, in fact, we're just talking about the DVD right now. We've been thinking about it. But, you know, we just set some milestone markers in her career, and we stuck to that because there are a lot of things that we could have put in there. But we also were trying to, this was made for a younger audience, and we really wanted to educate them a little bit about those times. So we chose some things, and we stuck to them.
Fantastic. Again, I cannot tell you how grateful we are that you brought this film to Dallas. Thank you so much for being a part of it, and thanks for coming to Dallas. Talk a little bit about bringing Audacity to an American audience, because it's a film that it has universal appeal, especially when familial blow-ups snowball out of proportion so much.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, revenge against parent is universal, no matter where you go, Siberia, India, United States. Well, how it connects to America is actually pretty deep, because India is going through a whole lot of changes right now. The country is changing every day, and it is not unusual for young children to break the mold and put on a punk wig and dance to house music. And so that's the conflict. That's the inherent conflict in Indian society right now. And you know what, in a way, that's kind of a conflict in American society too, because America is also getting exposed to a whole lot of new things, fortunately or unfortunately. And so there's a parallel.
When you were putting the movie together, was there any point where you're sitting there saying, this isn't just a personal story for me anymore. This is something that not only American audiences, not only Indian audiences, but global audiences could really wrap their brains around and really embrace?
When I wrote the story, I thought about it having a universal reach, so to speak. After the film was finished, I felt that, yeah, it might have a universal appeal But when I was making the film, all I wanted to do is finish the film.
So that one moment of doubt was just finish the bloody thing.
Oh, we had an incredibly stupid schedule, and on top of that, half of those 3 days we shot this film in got rained in, and it's kind of weird. We shot this film in 16, Super 16 to be exact. You know what? It all kind of works out in the end because I just found the news that the film's been sold to national network in Australia, so the budget has been recovered. Woo.
Talk about your young female lead. She's electrifying on screen, just absolutely captivating. Talk about the casting process.
You know, she was the last in the audition, and we had been auditioning for all the characters for like 5 or 6 days, and I had already fixed somebody. I'd already had somebody in mind to do the load, and the casting agent said, "Hey, listen, there's one more girl who's coming. She left her home to come to this place. Can you stay?" I said, "No, I got to go. I need to eat." He says, "Please stay." So I grumblingly stayed, and this girl comes in. First of all, I thought, first look, I said, she's too old. I don't think I have that in mind. And then I started reading the lines, and she kept on nailing every one of them, and I finished the entire script, and she had nailed everything. And I was like, okay, I have to call somebody up and say, "You're not hired anymore." It was, I didn't do it. My casting director did it, but she was so good that it was possible for us, all of us, to agree that, okay, this is the person. She was amazing. And you know what's the funny part is? She lives in Calcutta. I hate saying this because it kind of paints Calcutta and India in a sad story, but she doesn't have a computer, doesn't have Facebook, and there's so many photographs of her on Facebook. I mean, it's blasted all over, and she can't see it. I have to tell my cousin to bring her laptop over to show it to her. It's amazing, isn't it? It's like.
Well, we're incredibly grateful you brought this film here, and thank you so much for coming to Dallas to support it. We're so glad to see you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. How soon after the Deepwater Horizon incident did you guys know that you wanted to get to the Gulf Coast and start documenting the cleanup process and its aftermath?
Actually, for me, Lance and I we met there. We met in Grand Isle, and Lance was doing photography, and I was there to shoot the story, but it was much more humble than that. It wasn't like I'm going to go down there and get the story. It was, I had $200 and I had a bag of groceries that I bought with food stamps, and I just got pissed off. And so we were about, I think it was 3 weeks into the spill, and at that point I was frustrated and I felt like I was trapped and I couldn't do anything, and the same thing was happening with the people there. They were feeling trapped, and so I was like, at one point I remember screaming across the room, "Fucking do something," And so what I did is I kissed my wife, took the $200 and drove down to Louisiana and slept in my car, and then from there just started meeting people like Lance that helped me make this film possible, and it's just been an amazing honor to be a part of it. So that's, yeah.
Is there one image that you will take from the production of this film where you sit there and say an indelible image, either either positive, or there were so many negative things that you would have seen, just horrific incidents, both from the way it was impacting from the fishing industry to the people who make their livings on the Gulf Coast? Is there one thing that you would take away from this? It's like you have it in the back of your mind?
Well, photography-wise, I'm looking at we went to an island where there were lots of birds, and they just had oil all over them. The booms were supposed to be orange, but they weren't. They were just this burnt brown. And when I saw that really, it instilled in me, kind of what the effects were. And then later on, we went to a recovery center, and oh my God, all the people that were so passionately involved with cleaning up the animals and just handling them with care. It's incredible.
What interference did you guys encounter, if any, when you were shooting the film? Because there were many press crews who either through BP's security forces or the government in trying to intercede in some instances. What interference did you guys encounter?
Oh, and I'd like to say something just about your last question.
Please.
And that, the thing that struck me was seeing grown men cry. And seeing, when it's so easy for you to be able to say that's them when you don't know their name. But once you meet them and once you get a chance to to hear the little nuances that, the Cajun accent, and you get to hear, pictures you get to hear stories and see pictures of people, living on their boats with solar panels on top and living off the water, and that to me, like, and now they can't do that. I mean, there's shrimp without eyeballs right now. The trout hasn't been coming back. So we've got a lot of damage, and it's a big issue. And so for me, just seeing a grown man cry is a big thing. But as far as the resistance, there was a lot of resistance in just allowing people on the beach to film and stuff like that. You also had news crews you even had, politicians, governors and mayors who were stopped from being on their own waterways. So this was, definitely a government corporation collaboration and alignment of their causes. But it's, the power's in our hands as we the people, and and if we want to watch, the next big reality TV show, then go back to sleep, and just be sheep. But the reality is that just caring, just thinking about it is effect causing change. You sharing my film with somebody else is affecting change, because now all of a sudden they've got ideas in their mind that they can never take out. You can't unexperience something. So my goal as a filmmaker was simply to create an honest experience, not to tell people what to do. If I give you an honest experience and you care, then all of a sudden I've already changed something. I've changed the patterns, and so I just hope that people care.
Let's talk a little bit about getting this film out there. Once it gets past the festival circuit, do you have any kind of distribution lined up, or are people beating down your door because they need to be? They need to be.
Well, I'm getting offers all the time. So, we're right now just trying to sort things out and see what the best avenue. I mean, for me, it's certainly not about money, and it's about just getting it out there, because I think that there's a very limited time frame to be able to get this message out in a meaningful way. We got legislation right now that's trying, to be passed. They haven't even acknowledged any health risks. The United States government hasn't acknowledged that there's any health risks. So, we need that to happen, and that's what we're hoping. If this film plays in all 50 states, which I'm more than glad to do, then guess what? All of a sudden, there's going to be a big change. So, that to me is the important part.
From a personal standpoint, I want to thank you guys for making this film and keeping this issue out there. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.